This is Araski Daoud of Marisk LLC and the North Africa Journal, and let's talk today about how Morocco may be quietly preparing for a royal succession. Now, this issue of succession in any government is absolutely extremely important in that it creates clear rules of engagement that are clearly required for stability, whether it is the royalties of England, Spain, and Morocco, or how governments change leaders, as we are currently witnessing in the United States with the retirement of Joe Biden. Having rules is important to create stability, and so it comes as no surprise that Morocco also has succession rules that the Alawite dynasty, ruling that kingdom since 1666, used to put in power 23 rulers, the latest one being King Mohammed VI, who ascended to the throne, if you recall, in 1999. Now, generally, most of us don't follow the daily routines and protocols of kings, presidents, prime minister, and so we don't know what's going on with what's happening with them in the background, and particularly if they value their privacy a lot, even though they are public figures. But the visit last week of French President Emmanuel Macron to Morocco actually put the spotlight on Morocco's King Mohammed VI and obviously his health. And now it looks like Morocco's governing elite may be or may have to prepare for his succession one way or the other. Now, for some time, the health of King Mohammed was minimally covered by the news, if none, really. This is because the domestic press in Morocco is essentially aligned to the monarchy, and if not, it's prohibited from reporting what would be considered unauthorized news about the king's health. And so any such coverage comes generally from abroad, essentially from newspapers from Spain and from France and places close to Morocco. So while the king's health situation is impossible to confirm through Morocco's official channels and institutions, some in the foreign media tend to say that the king's health has been deteriorating due to a number of unconfirmed diseases, including an alleged chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or what's called COPD. Others, in particular in the French press, emphasize that the king has what they call sarcoidosis. Although both diseases are distinct conditions, they both apparently affect the lungs and can have overlapping symptoms such as shortness of breath and coughing. A third group of media, in particular from Spain, believes that Mohammed VI has Hashimoto's disease, which is considered an autoimmune disorder affecting the thyroid gland, not the lungs. In Hashimoto's, the immune system apparently attacks the thyroid by mistake, leading to chronic inflammation and gradually impairing the gland's ability to produce thyroid hormones, resulting in what's called hypothyroidism. So this is a condition where the body has insufficient thyroid hormones, which are essentially meant to regulate metabolism, energy, and other bodily functions. Now, even worse, some media say that he has at least 2, if not 3 of these diseases at the same time. Officially, we don't know, but regardless of who is right or wrong, clearly the 61-year-old king has a big health problem. When he greeted President Macron at the airport, the king had to use a cane to control his walk, confirming what the European press has been reporting about his or him being ill. Over the past years, video footage of live events showed plenty of evidence of a king with deteriorating health. He had difficulties staying upright back on July 29, 2024, during a national anthem ceremony. At the end of the speech, his son had to actually help him off his chair. Less than 2 weeks earlier, the king was visibly exhausted in the city of Tétouan, when he met and decorated Soufiane El-Bakali, who was an Olympic gold medalist in the most recent Paris Olympics. Now, media sources report that Morocco's own media is careful in the way they take photos or capture the king on videos. In the most recent opening of the country's parliament for its fall session, the cameras actually clearly avoided focusing on the king specifically when he stood up after his speech. During the speech, it was clearly difficult to deliver as the king was visibly ill. Now, in recent past, the king is reported to have undergone 2 surgeries, first in Paris in 2018 and the second in Rabat in 2020 for what's called atrial flutter. That's a type of cardiac arrhythmia. In both cases, the royal administration later did announce and reported the operations and said they were successful without, of course, revealing any details of the surgeries or the illness. The king was reported to have canceled several foreign trips due to health problems. Now, setting that aside, there has been some evidence, albeit inconclusive, that the monarchy is working to prepare the transition to the next king. For now, we see 3 personalities becoming front and center in the palace as the king becomes increasingly physically challenged or, even worse, incapacitated. The first is his advisor, Fouad Ali El Himma, who is clearly acting as the Grand Vizier, ensuring essentially continuity in the monarchy. El Himma, who is of the same generation as the king, in fact, I think they are the same age, both of them are 61, is reported to have had some health issues himself and has been treated in US hospitals, details of which we don't have it, but that's what's being reported widely. So as the king's poor health no longer allows him to oversee daily affairs in Morocco, El Himma is the Grand Vizier who calls the shots. Securing the monarchy is the responsibility of Abdellatif Hammouchi. Hammouchi is the head of both the police and the intelligence agency known as the General Directorate of Territorial Surveillance. Interestingly, Hammouchi is the first in Morocco's history to control both security institutions, giving him essentially unprecedented powers. But the one to watch is Crown Prince Moulay Hassan. There is a lot of evidence that the 21-year-old prince is being prepared very quickly to take over power on a short notice. Over the past months, we have noticed a sharp increase in social media videos showcasing the prince performing official duties. He seems to be alert and quick, but we did notice that he has some extreme serious looks, rarely even smiling or showing a relaxed stance. He's very structured and stern. I suspect this set of behavior is likely an image of what kind of monarch he will be, very different than his father. Potentially a lot less modernist, a lot more conservative than his father. This potentially stern governing style could be a concern for Morocco itself, and indeed for the entire Maghreb region, and I would push it to the southern Mediterranean zone. Those are regions in need of more modernizing figures and personalities that govern with hope and class. My sense so far, based on a few observations, is that Morocco is headed towards a more traditionalist and more conservative approach to governance when the prince takes over, and that could potentially spell some potential troubles.